This is a GRDC podcast.
Justine, Baillie, Michael Scobie, you're the co-leads of the agtech adoption team at the University of Southern Queensland. Why agtech?
So agtech provides an opportunity to try and improve the decision making on farm, and it really is about solving those pain points or looking for greater insights to try and change what actions we might take. Agtech's one of the solutions. It's not the whole, but it's something that we can use to leverage greater insights, look at how things vary spatially and temporally, and augment the decision making that a grower is doing anyway.
And how is it improving, farm management? And how is technology, additionally adding to the accuracy and improving the quality of crops and as well as yields when it comes to technology on farm?
I guess we've been through a revolution that has changed the way that we grow food in Australia and abroad. And we're kind of now at the point where we've picked all the low-hanging fruit. So a lot of the big gains have been made. And so what we're doing now is we're trying to get closer and closer to that precision agriculture concept or idea. And the way that we're doing that is by coming up with new ways of measuring and monitoring and assessing performance, so that we can feed that back into our cropping system and come up with more precise or more finite management methods.
And what sort of specific themes are we looking at here? What are they?
So we're looking right across the crop cycle. It's everything from that pre-plant and actions you might take prior to planting, during planting, crop nutrition, crop protection, water management throughout that crop cycle, and even some pre-harvest decisions. And there's opportunities to bring agtech into all of those stages.
And how is that working out with regards to this particular on-farm research centre? What are some of the best or most solid results that you're getting so far?
I guess our focus has really been not just the technology, but rather what's the problem that we can solve with technology, and then further to that, how can we do that at commercial scale? Because there's a lot of technologies out there that work fine when you're only talking about small plot trials or half an acre. But when you come to upscaling and really using these technologies across the whole farm, we need to test them in a different manner to what we would do if we were just testing small scale. So some of the things we've had a look at is the whole farm variability when it comes to irrigation and water management and crop health and disease. So we've tested a few different technologies in both the monitoring and the modelling side. So we're using a suite of tools, both hardware and software and everything in between.
And is the scenario, or the key to this, the commercial scale? You guys are able to test it on a commercial scale, therefore you're being used by the producers they can assess what you're getting out of it, and then they can assess whether or not they want to embrace or take it on.
That's absolutely right. There's obviously development that occurs in developing this technology, but there's still that bit of a step that needs to occur between the development of the tech or the service that's being provided and actually deploying it on a commercial farm. So we can in many ways be the guinea pigs. It's something that GRDC is able to fund to allow us to be the big guinea pigs, so the producer isn't having to go through some of that pain and those early learnings, and instead they can pick up from what we've done here and use that as their starting point. And the challenges are often not the technology itself. Sometimes there might be some issues in how it operates. Normally it's not. It's normally about the workflow or the time involved to make it happen at scale.
And the AI, we talked about this earlier, but AI, how is that being tested by you guys on farm? How is it helping?
So what we're doing is we're looking at technologies where that's already built into it. What it does is it allows us to do things at a much larger scale than we normally would, because it can make that assessment really, really quickly. So firstly, having solutions such as drone scouting that allows us to collect large amounts of data reasonably quickly, but then be able to process that in software that has that artificial intelligence enabled in it, so it can very quickly process that data, learn from it, ensure that the solution is site-specific. But we're looking at plant emergence, for example, so being able to use machine learning where it can train it to the crop you've got on your site, and it can do those plant emergence counts at scale in near real time, and then decisions can be made during that cropping season. But it's also built into some of the water management software, so looking at your soil moisture in terms of some of the parameters that are set. AI can do some of that decision making and identify some of those parameters that otherwise a grower would have previously had to do. But also with spot spraying, being able to generate a prescription map. Again, there's a lot of artificial intelligence built into that identification of the weeds, and again, it's removing that need to manually identify them. The artificial intelligence has the smarts to do that for you, which speeds up the time it takes to produce that prescription map.
And Michael, that huge drone looking to scout and spray, what are the benefits and what is it doing there? How is technology helping in this case?
Yeah, so what we do is we use a small drone, so less than 2 kilos, to go out and do what's called a scouting mission. That flies over across the field or the farm, and we use cameras with different spectra to pick that up. So a multispectral camera mounted to a drone will help us identify the green from the brown on a fallow field. We can then take that data, put it through some software that, as just said, is AI enabled, to help us identify where the weeds are and where the weeds are not. And from there we can turn that into a prescription map that can be loaded up into a conventional spray rig or into a spray drone. The value and the advantage of that is we can reduce herbicide usage because we're only spot spraying the weeds and only spot spraying the parts of the field that need the herbicide applied rather than a blanket application.
And GRDC's obviously partially funding this. The benefits to them and obviously grain growers nationally is obviously the gain, I assume, from trialling this technology. How important is that to have GRDC behind you to help with this?
Absolutely. I mean, these things do take time, and there's a cost involved in doing that. Having GRDC fund us, again, to go through that pain, to be able to do that demonstration here at this site. It's a fabulous site where we're able to do things at that commercial scale, but also then make that visible to the industry to allow growers to be able to take the learnings from that and apply it to their own scenarios.
And there are obviously a vast array of different benefits. Looking at all of the technology you're trialling, what are the key benefits for producers, full stop, when it comes to what they can get out of going down this path of revolutionising their farming methods using ag technology?
I guess as farms are getting bigger and labour is getting more expensive, we need to be able to undertake the tasks that typically have been done by multiple people with fewer people. And so what we're doing is using a range of different technologies to, I guess, improve the way that we operate on farm with a view to reducing the amount of labour that's involved in going out and collecting data and forming opinions and generating information. So using the technology that is available commercially right now, farmers are able to improve the way that they're understanding what's happening on the farm to make better decisions, which will hopefully lead to improved productivity and profitability.
And the feedback that you're getting from producers even at this stage, is it still too early to have that feedback, or what kind of reaction are you getting from likes of the field day you had today with the industry here to see what you're doing?
So there's definitely interest. Growers are looking for those opportunities to make that extra 1% or 2% gains in their profitability, looking for ways that they can augment their own decision making to get those insights. There's naturally a desire to identify what the value proposition is. So tech's great, but it has to be solving that problem. So when it is, what are the gains you can expect? And they're keen to see that. So it needs to be tied to a really real world challenge that they're experiencing, and there needs to be an outcome to balance out the investment in time that comes with ag tech.
On a global scale, how important is it that Australia goes down this path of investigating the ag technology options that are available and trialling them like you are here to keep us in the lead or up to speed with other countries that are also going down this path?
Yeah, so there's no doubt that Australian farmers are some of the best in the world. We have to deal with all sorts of issues that other countries don't necessarily have to in terms of climate constraints and water availability. We need to be able to be competitive and food secure so that we can continue our growth into the future.
Looking at the scenario of producers who are listening to this podcast, what advice would you have to them about going down this path of modernising on-farm practices and embracing the likes of ag technology in the various different forms that you're trialling here?
I think it's always about identifying the problem first. So, I think most growers have a pretty good appreciation of their own enterprise, and they'll have a pretty good idea on what their main pain points are, or where there might be the opportunity to try and push that production a little bit further. Definitely start with that and look for the solutions that are going to deliver an outcome. It's important that you don't start with the tech. It's there to solve the problem, and that's been one of the challenges in the past. Technology for technology's sake, we know, doesn't lead to good outcomes for growers, and it really needs to be addressing that very specific issue that is on their own enterprise.
Michael, your advice to growers, producers, grain growers who are considering looking at the various different types of technology that you're trialling here, what would that be? Yes.
Just reiterating what Just said, it's start with that problem, define what the problem is or the question that you're trying to answer, and then do it incrementally, bit by bit, testing and trialling new things. Hopefully the work that we've done here can shortcut some of the pain points that growers have, the teething issues that they have when adopting new technologies, but bit by bit I think we're going to get there.
Justine, Baillie, Michael Scobie, thank you very much for joining this GRDC podcast.